House Oversight and Accountability Committee Chair James Comer is with us. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I'm jumping ahead. You have other new evidence that we expect next week that'll show something similar?
Yeah, we found a lot of suspicious checks that the brother was involved in, and Joe was a beneficiary of. And we're going to talk about that as we move on. But what we're doing is we're tracing the money, Sean. It's not just that they got a $200,000 payment, that Joe Biden received a $200,000 payment. It's where the money came from.
James Comer, the House Oversight Committee chair, is going after Joe Biden for his quote-unquote shady financial dealings, despite having never presented any evidence of said dealings. Now he's trying to make a thing out of a $200,000 personal loan that Biden gave to his brother, James Biden, but all it's doing is highlighting Comer's own hypocrisy. Between 2017 and 2018, while Joe Biden was neither holding political office nor running for political office, he loaned his brother $40,000 and $200,000. Again, Joe Biden was a private citizen at the time that these loans occurred, but somehow Comer thinks that these loans are shady. Comer is trying to build a case around the supposition that in order for Biden's brother to repay the loan, James Biden would be dependent on the success of the greater Biden family business dealings.
Jim Biden was selling the brand, was selling the Biden name, and convinced people to pay him money in exchange for favors from Joe Biden.
Wouldn't you have to have a record of when you gave the loan, and wouldn't that bank record exist as well? Have you been able to find that?
We just announced the check today, and we've asked the White House to produce documentation.
House Republican leading an investigation into the Biden family's finances may have inadvertently revealed the true intention of his probe. In a Fox News interview yesterday, Oversight Committee Chair James Comer was asked whether he thought his investigation was the reason for an uptick in media coverage about the Biden family's business dealings. His response was to cite head-to-head poll numbers between President Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
Do you think that because of your investigation, that is what's moved this needle with the media?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question. You look at the polling, and right now, Donald Trump is 7 points ahead of Joe Biden and trending upward. Joe Biden's trending downward.
He seems to be suggesting that the Biden crime family would have been incentivized to do bigger and shadier deals so that James could have the money to pay back Joe. I mean, I guess, but it's quite a reach. But maybe that $200,000 loan looked shady to Comer because he has personal experience with actually shady $200,000 loans. Comer, like Joe Biden, has a brother, but unlike Joe Biden, Comer funneled money to his brother while he was in office. Comer and his family had a multi-million-dollar farming business, and according to reporting from the Daily Beast, Kentucky property records show that Comer and his brother engaged in several land swaps. In one of these deals in 2019, which included $200,000 and a shell company, Comer is said to have funneled money to his brother. Comer's brother, Chad Comer, paid James Comer $100,000 for James's half of a piece of inherited property after their father died. 5 months later, James bought back the entire property for $218,000, netting Chad $18,000. His name is Chad. At this time, Comer was serving in Congress and he was involved in agricultural oversight. Immediately following the land swaps, the Comers applied for special tax breaks. By 2020, the Comer brothers moved away from the farming industry, and James Comer stepped down from his agriculture oversight role. To complicate matters even further, the farming business, Comer Land and Cattle, didn't exist on paper. There were no business filings. Comer is also said to have a personal agriculture company, James Comer Jr. Farms, but there are no records of that one either. At the time of the land swap between the two brothers, a shell company was listed as a third party in the transaction. In his financial disclosures that year, Comer claimed that it was valued between $200,000 and $500,000, but 2 years later, it was valued at $500,000 to $1 million. It's unclear how or why the company increased so much in value so quickly. This isn't the first time that Comer has come under scrutiny for apparent hypocrisy when it comes to his work as an overseer/investigator. He had to know that when he decided to take on such a public role against government corruption and shady business practices, that his own financial records and business filings would come under scrutiny. Arguably, the bigger problem with all of this is that he's working so hard to find impeachable offenses against the president, and even with such concerted effort, he's turned up little to no evidence of actual wrongdoing. His accusations are incredibly speculative, and it all just seems like a giant smokescreen. With such partisan politics in this country, though, there doesn't need to be evidence against someone in order for a narrative to effectively be constructed. The idea of wrongdoing can almost be as damaging as physical evidence, but in this case, Comer barely even has the idea. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to check out my podcast, Modern Context. A new episode is out today. We're talking about the history of Thanksgiving. Thanks.